I'm going to issue the statement coming out of this meeting. Deliberations of Azimio leadership since last Sunday. This has been a meeting of Azimio leadership to deliberate further on the development since last Sunday. The meeting reiterated our commitment to the envisaged dialogue between the parties. It further reiterated our determination to see all our core issues on the table as follows. 1. Addressing the cost of living. This meeting agreed that high cost of living is urgent and can't wait. 2. Audit of the servers. This meeting agreed that auditing the 2022 election servers is necessary and urgent. And here we add that we require forensic audit by experts. 3. Reform and reconstitution of the IEBC. This meeting agreed that electoral reforms are urgent and necessary for future elections. 4. Fidelity to the letter and spirit of multi-party democracy in Parliament. That members of Parliament who want to cross the aisle need to go back and seek the mandate of the electorate. It is the resolution of this meeting that a purely parliamentary process will not serve the intended ends. Our suggestion is to have a conversation at the national level through a process akin to the 2008 National Accord. To this end, the coalition proposes a team drawn from its rank both in Parliament and outside Bunge. We emphasize that all the issues we have laid out in public carry equal weight to us, although high cost of living must be addressed urgently. In this regard, we resolved that the regime must take immediate steps to bring back the cost of unga to Kenya shillings 100 as at the time of the election. We further resolved that Kenya Kwanza must take immediate steps to lower the costs of fuel and put a freeze on the recent increase in the cost of electricity. These are not matters for a committee. They are things that the government just needs to take a decision and implement. Further, we have resolved that the state must immediately take up the costs or waive all medical bills of victims of police brutality, including journalists and the last expense costs of those who lost their lives. Today I went to the hospital, but Kenyatta Hospital and Bagati Hospital, and I saw at first hand the police brutality. People who are unarmed and shot by the police on their groins, some in their stomachs, suffering at the hospitals. I know of a number of journalists who also were attacked and who are still hospitalized. And this is why what we are saying is a practice that must end. We have seen too much brutality since this Inspector General, Mr. Comey, took charge. It is even worse than the worst days of dictatorship in this country. Finally, we assure our people and Kenyans that our eyes are firmly on the ball and reiterate that we shall go back to the people as the earliest sign of lack of seriousness by the other side. In other words, if the other side is not serious, we will go back to our people and continue. End of statement. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes?
Well, my name is Ibrahim Karanja from NTV. I have a couple of questions. President William Ruto, while making the statement on Sunday, mentioned the issue of IEBC as sort of the main discussion. Right now, you are insisting that all the other issues that were part of the Azimio demands must be addressed. We have also seen the Kenya Kwanza parliamentary leadership talk about this particular process to even state that there will be no handshake, which again, your team has insisted. Perhaps if the president insists on what, or Kenya Kwanza insists on what was on their list, what then happens? Then secondly, we understand that the US Senator for Delaware, Chris Coons, just left the country yesterday. Would you please confirm or deny that the US and President Joe Biden was part of the discussions that may have happened between Azimio and Kenya Kwanza? Thank you.
Let me first begin by the first question that you asked. We, of course, talked ourselves. Mr. Ruto made his statement. But I just want to say that that was not the basis of the understanding between the parties that were negotiating or talking between us. That statement fell far short of what had been agreed, and they know it. And that's why in our own statement, reiterated firmly what was going to be the basis of our engagement with Kenya Kwanza. And what we have reiterated in this statement is not different. We have actually mentioned the same issues that we said we wanted to be addressed. Those are the issues which made us go to the streets. And we mentioned them clearly. One, auditing of the servers so that we can put this matter to rest. We understand that some people are trying to tamper with the servers. They need to know that we are watching them. We know it, and we also know that's why we are talking about a forensic audit by experts, so that the truth can come out finally. And we put that to the end. Secondly, we mentioned the issue of the cost of living of our people. And we know that our people are suffering. Somebody who does not know that does not live in Kenya. We know so many of our people who cannot put a bread on the table. And we said we will not rest until this matter is resolved. And we said that the government does not even need any committee on this issue. We just talked about basic costs. We talked about unga. We talked about fuel, about electricity, the school fees, as very basic issues that the government can address without much problem. Secondly, I don't know where you got your information from, but Senator Coons left Nairobi. I think it was on Sunday last week, because I talked to him on Monday, and he had already arrived in Washington, D.C. Because he met the other side, and he also came and met with us. And we told him exactly what we know, and the reason why we are actually going to the streets. And he said that that is our democratic right, to go to the street to protest peacefully. He did not see anything wrong with us doing that at all. So, but we need to know that we are not a colony of the United States. So we do things as Kenyans. We are happy when our international friends want to come and make suggestions how we should resolve our issues. But ultimately, Kenyan problems must be solved by Kenyans, Kenyan leaders. That's the reason why we said we are calling a truce, a ceasefire, to give negotiations a chance. But we want to reiterate very clearly here that if the other side does not cooperate, then we will have no other option but to go back to the trenches. And this will be maybe as early as sometimes next week.
We'll take 2 more questions.
All right, sir. My name is Emmanuel Tov from KTN News. 2 questions. One, are you already having a list of those members who will be in the committee, in the bipartisan talks? Do you have a list of those who will be there and will be leading the team? Number 2, are you warming up or are you ready for the position of the official opposition if that is floated? Thank you.
Yes, we know who is going to represent us. It has been suggested that we will have a committee of 14, that is 7. This is from Parliament, both houses of Parliament. But we have said that this process, we want it to be akin to the process that was led by Kofi Annan. That is going to have members of Parliament in it, but they are going to sit outside Parliament. They will negotiate and only take the final product to Parliament as an accord, which will then be passed by Parliament. We don't want it to be taken and then be encumbered with those rules and so on of Parliament. We want it to be a process that is people-driven.
My name is Chemutai going
There are now about, I want to make it very clear. We have never talked about a handshake. That is a language coming from the other side. They're the ones who have been saying, oh, these people, unataka tu handshake, nusu mukati, and so on. Take it to Mr. Gachagua. Tell me, I don't even want to shake his hands.
My name is Chemutai Goin from Citizen TV, and I have one question. Looking at the bipartisan approach, is your team maybe concerned about the neutrality of Parliament, alive to the fact that there have been a lot of movements that have been witnessed, and is that why maybe there's that call to have external individuals who are not members of Parliament, noting that maybe there would be allegiance to the various parties that they represent?
Now, what we have said is that we will have members of Parliament negotiating with their members of Parliament. But we have also a team to which that team negotiating is going to be reporting to. And we expect that the other side will also have a similar structure. We will not say that these other ones are also going to be negotiating. We'll have members of Parliament negotiating, but they are going to be answerable to a team of leadership from Azimio.
Last question.
My name is Justice Ocheng from Daily Nation. So, Diga, you mentioned that there were prior meetings between members of your team and members from the government side, and that the president's address fell short of the issues that had been discussed. Maybe what are these issues that were discussed, and who are these members of these teams, and when did they meet?
That is not really an issue of concern to you, when they met and so on. And those who met actually were representatives, emissaries from both sides. But you need to know that the request came from the other side. And our people responded and gave conditions. There have even been allegations that I met Mr. Ruto, maybe, I don't know, in the Mara and so on. Nothing could be further from the truth. There's been no meeting between me and Mr. Ruto. But we say that the statement did not include what had been agreed. And that's why we took the opportunity and the privilege to reiterate the issues that were put on the table.
Thank you very much.